Hey guys, you're welcome to a new and fresh episode of Moment Z, and of course we remain your ever fabulous hosts. I am Pelumi, and of course my girl Amanda and Lisa.
Yeah. Thank you for toasting us. I feel good.
When I saw her, I was like, chick, you look like the Wicked Witch of Oz.
Who's
like,
that, me?
Yes, with the hat and black.
Yes.
Black.
I was saying like she should just want black sneakers, so everything would just be complete.
No,
and then we'll just look for a broom for her.
I'm
scared of you.
And all that.
We'll bring a broom now. You can fly.
Yes,
let's see our
exactly.
true colors.
That's the only thing missing. And I love your kimono thing.
though.
Thank you. I feel like I can fly with this.
And you're on the swing
So what
again.
are you now, Mama Asia?
Oh yeah, no Africa again. Yeah, this is Asia. I'm representing China today. So guys, let's move to the inspiration of the day. So my inspiration of the day is Viola Davis. I'm sure you know her from How to Get Away with Murder. Okay, so her story is so touching. So let me just tell you briefly how she grew up. So at age 2, she went to prison. She went to jail with her mom.
At age 2?
Yes, 2. She was in prison already with her mom, who was an activist. Now, her mom was a maid, and she was an activist. She was a homekeeper, and she was a factory worker, and her dad was a horse trainer. And then she described her childhood as dysfunctional and in abject poverty. Wow. And they used to live in rat-infested places. They were just really broke. Yet, this same person ended up being nominated 3 times. The only black woman who has been nominated 3 times for an Academy Award. She has won awards. Times magazine called her in 2012 and 2017 as one of the most influential women out of the 100. And it's just so weird how you have like 2 opposite ends, abject poverty and then fulfillment and success. And it just talked to me basically because a lot of times we almost want to give up on who we can be because of who we are, not necessarily trying to realize that the life we have is in our hands and we really need to work at it. So it was truly inspiring, and I can't wait to be...
I can see that you have been really inspired.
Yes, I can't wait to be in Times as well. You just see my picture, my serious picture.
So yeah, I totally agree with you. A lot of people don't discover themselves till really, really late. Yeah. And that brings us to the topic of today. Now, according to Aristotle, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. But how exactly do we get to that point? Some describe it as that aha moment where it becomes crystal clear the purpose of your existence. Today on the show, we talk about self-discovery. How would you say you have discovered yourself? Is there an age to discover oneself? And what is the road to self-discovery?
That's a very tough one.
I know. Is there an age to it? Like, it's deep, because right now, would you say you have discovered yourself?
I think that's the thing. I think it's constant growth, actually. I think for a lot of people, because it's just the way you keep going through more experiences that test you and stretch you, and then you surprise yourself, you shock yourself, and the more you do that, the more you learn about yourself. You know what, guys? We need to get our first guest to join us right now, right?
Yes, we do.
Coming up shortly on The Conversation, we'll be joined by our first guest. Don't go anywhere. And we're back. The topic of the day is still self-discovery, and we're joined by our first guest, Georgia Obo. She's a 16-year-old golfer representing Nigeria at the Youth Olympics 2018. And I'm just here like, sis, like, wow, this is amazing. And you're just 16.
Yes.
It's incredible.
Incredible.
When did you start playing golf?
When I was 6 years old.
Wow.
What? When she was
6 years old.
Why golf, if I would ask? Because a lot of Nigerians will not gravitate towards that sport. So why golf?
Well, my parents introduced me to the game when I was a little younger. They were competitive recreational golfers.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So you just followed in their footsteps.
Yeah.
So is that what you want to do for the rest of your life? Would you say you have discovered yourself and your path?
Yes, I want to become a golfing touring professional. I'd like to think I've discovered myself, but I know it's always a journey.
Yeah.
Just keep on going.
You know, you remind me of Mozart. You know, Mozart discovered himself when he was 5.
Deep Amanda.
He did. And then it makes me think that there's actually no age to self-discovery, because someone else, Colonel Sanders, who is the owner of KFC, became successful in his late 60s. So I'm like 5 and 65. Wow, that is like such a gap. And then if you also look at it, like Mozart died when he was 35. So sometimes, you know, you don't know how long you have on this earth. So you have to start things early.
We say self-discovery, which is basically discovery of self, right? But then what do we define as self? Because if we're looking at it from a strictly professional standpoint, then that eliminates every other thing. So we could ask you, you know, is it only golfing that you want to do forever? But isn't there more to self-discovery than just the professional aspect of it, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, there's so much more.
Okay.
We could go on and on. But it's ultimately about finding out what makes you you, your values, how you stand on certain issues, how you relate to the people around you. So it's a long journey. There's so much to discover about yourself.
Yeah, but if I would ask, can you just tell us a bit about how you were able to discover the fact that, yes, you're going to be a golfer? I mean, 6 years, from 6 to 16, that's like 10 years. So have you never had that moment of doubt where you're like, what if I was just young and I just wanted to be a golfer and I don't want to be a golfer anymore? So just tell us your path, your journey, and how you've gotten here so far. I mean, you're representing Nigeria in the Youth Olympics in 2018. That is a big deal. So just tell us a bit about your journey.
Well, when I was growing up, I would go to a lot of the competitions that took place in England, and I'd go and see the pros play. So at the Rico Women's British Open some 10 years ago, I went and watched the #1 professional golfer at the time, Lorena Ochoa. And it was towards the end of her round, and I was just standing waiting for her to tee off. And she threw me a golf ball.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You out of like a lot of people.
Yeah.
And did she do that intentionally, or you just kind of cut it?
Because I wasn't that close to her. I was almost at the end of the tee box. She was behind me, so she threw. So I saw her throw the golf ball, and I picked it up. And
so did you take that as a sign?
Yeah.
That was like God is
like God has thrown you the ball.
You better be a golfer in life.
Wow, I wish it was that easy to actually discover yourself. Like someone should just throw a mic at you. Like
I know, and you just know that yes, you're an MC.
Okay.
But that's really interesting.
So would you say your parents have helped you? Because you were saying that it's because you mentioned that it's a lot to do by yourself. It's a long journey to walk by yourself. Would you say your parents have helped, or friends, or have you had any like influences that have helped you to, you know, discover yourself? Or?
Well, my parents definitely have allowed me to pursue my passion, to pursue my dreams. There have been so many coaches and family friends who have
been supportive.
Towards my career, towards this dream that I have.
So this is it. This is like you're trying to be like a Nigerian. What's his name?
Tiger
Woods,
right?
right?
Without the scandal,
female one.
Okay. Without the scandal, of course.
Oh no, stop it.
Why are you like this?
But really, this is it. This is our big dream.
Yes, definitely.
Wow. I really like your story. So coming up next, we have our second guest joining us in the studio, still on the topic of self-discovery. Is there really a time frame to this? We share our opinions when we return. The show is Moment Z, and we have been talking about self-discovery. Our second guest is SEUN OSINOWO. He's the founder of University Compass. Welcome.
Hi guys.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Okay, so we have been talking about self-discovery. First of all, have you discovered yourself?
In the process.
In the process. I like that. Very honest.
Yeah, but if I would ask, what is University Compass all about?
Yeah, I wanted to ask that.
Well, basically, it's a platform that helps students pick courses that meet their interests.
Okay.
So you fill a questionnaire, and it tells you the best course that meets your interest according to what you're filled in. And you can select a school by putting your criteria, and it tells you the best schools that meet those criteria, instead of having to go through all the universities to get information about
So what made you come up with that idea?
Exactly.
I mean, not a lot of people think about that.
Well, personally, in particular, the course selection system, I have a relative who was pretty smart, and upon graduation, she studied outside the country, engineering. And she was actually in the first class. She was doing pretty good. But at the end of 300 level, she was like, nah, this is not for me.
Oh, I see.
And she quit, went to study economics, and still graduated with her first class.
That's a very hard move.
And so it was really personal to me that, okay, there are a lot of people who actually don't know. People just say, study engineering, medicine. And I'm like, no, let's put these guys' interests together.
Okay.
And let's
So
direct
how has
them.
it been going? Is it going well?
Pretty good, yeah.
But what are some of the questions that you think you should ask yourself in order to sort of get to know yourself better?
Well, now that I think of it, when I was in my process of discovering myself, a lot of people ask different questions on find out who are you, what do you like. But I didn't take that approach.
Oh, really? What approach did you take?
I said, who am I not?
Who are you not? Wow.
So,
okay,
I'm not a playful person. Okay. So I identified everything I am not. I'm like, okay.
What is remaining?
What is remaining is actually me. So leave me alone, really.
Okay.
Yeah, but for you, Georgia, did you have to do some soul searching as well, or you were just going with the flow of your life?
Well, I like to think I was just going with the flow. I've traveled the world. I've seen different places.
How do you manage with school if you're traveling so much?
Well, I took my IGCSE exams last November.
Okay.
So now I'm going to the US to finish before I go to university.
Okay.
So
you had like a gap year or something like that?
Yes.
Okay. So in this space of time, you've been traveling the world?
Yes.
You're chilling, girl.
Well, your parents are also...
No, but she's not chilling, no. I mean, I went to your Instagram page and I saw a lot of workout videos. Like you work out, yes. No, but honestly, she works out a lot.
Also, you're constantly training.
She's
traveling and training, or is...
Wow.
And how does that feel?
This is the off season, so I do most of my training now before competitions start when you won't have as much time.
You know, I want to ask a question. You know, you said that you started knowing yourself when you found out who you are not. And that really touched me because that's my story. You know, when I was in secondary school, everybody's like, oh, what do you want to do? Science, arts, commercial. I never had a clue. I actually just went with my best friend's idea. She did science, so I did science too. And then leaving secondary school and going to university, what do you want to study? It was a big issue. I don't know what I want to study. So they now, do you know why I studied computers? They're like, you like playing video games. I'm serious, that's why I study computers. So I feel like if you go from things that you do not like to do, oh, I don't like this. It was when I started doing my IT that I discovered I actually do not like computers. I don't like sitting down 9 to 5. That's not me. So I think that's a very, very valid point for people who are discovering themselves.
Oh,
and
definitely.
then
True.
one other thing I want to say is that I read a book on, I don't know if you guys have read Alchemist, The Alchemist.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know, that book, for anybody who is having issues with discovering themselves, of course, is a journey, it never stops. I think you should read that book because it talks about how a shepherd goes all around Egypt finding a treasure. He literally travels, spends his whole life with this, you know, pursuit. Yeah. And then at the end of the day, he finds out that the treasure is in his backyard.
Wow.
It's in him.
It's in him, basically.
But that journey was also very necessary because remember, he learned so much.
Yes, he did.
He learned so much. So the process is also very important. It's not just about the destination.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
So speaking about processes, we will be talking more about the processes to self-discovery when we come back. You are still watching Moment Z, and we're still talking about the topic self-discovery. And we have our amazing guests in the studio, of course, and we're talking about the processes of self-discovery. Now, for you, Georgia, as I said, I've been seeing Instagram videos, and you train a lot. And me personally, I feel like I don't have the discipline or the passion to do what you do. Now, let's not forget the fact that you're a 16-year-old that is having to go through all these workout trainings. Have you, at any point in time, ever thought that, you know what, this is so much burden for a 16-year-old. I want to just go out and have fun. Has it ever crossed your mind, or your passion is just doing all of that?
Well, my passion is to compete. I love competing just anywhere. It's,
sorry, that makes a little sense that you like to compete, because just before now, I was asking her, how many competitions have you done? Sis told me she doesn't even know that at the time she was 7, it was about 100.
Wow.
100?
100.
No wonder you shouted.
Do you understand what I'm saying? And now she talking about she's real competitive, so that makes a lot of sense.
So 100 times 10, because that's like 10 years. You're not like 1,000.
and then you said you started playing when you were 6. So as at 7, you had already done 100 competitions.
I know, by now.
Please, what is your life like? Like, do you sleep? Do you eat?
That's why I said you feel it's a lot of burden for a 16-year-old. Do you think it is sometimes?
Wow.
Or you're just enjoying it?
Well, I don't see it as a burden. I see it as what I have to do if I want to become the best. The time I have to put in, the energy. But I mean, there are so many kids who do even more than I do.
Really?
So I want to ask, where did you grow up? Did you grow up in Nigeria or abroad?
Well, I grew up in England.
Okay.
But then I came back to Nigeria for about 18 months.
Okay.
So I was schooling here.
Then you went back?
Yes, then I went back, and then I'm kind of back and forth.
Okay, so would you say that discovering yourself is based on your environment? You know, because I feel like, where did you stay? The United States or?
England.
In England. So in England, would you say that the environment influenced how you pushed your passion? Would you say so?
To a certain extent. In England, people aren't necessarily pushy towards what exactly you want to do. You're kind of allowed to be creative and to play. I played a lot of sports.
Okay.
In school, I
Apart
played
from golf?
Football,
Wow.
tennis.
He said wow. Well,
did you compete in these ones as well?
Just in school,
Okay.
really.
I
learned basketball,
really,
netball, a bit of gymnastics.
So you're just like basically really fit.
Yeah,
she is.
I think that's part of it, because all of us that grew up here in Nigeria were like still discovering ourselves.
Yes, I mean for you, Seun, like you said, you're still discovering yourself. So what are the but what are the processes you're going through right now? Are you just waiting to just find out, or there are actually conscious steps you're taking?
Are you being intentional about it?
Get to where you want to, or to discover yourself?
Not necessarily. I feel the whole concept that we can figure ourselves out, like we have understood ourselves, is a lie.
It's very arrogant.
It's very wrong.
You deep, bro.
Okay.
So constantly, I do some soul searching. Like recently, I said I'm in the process of discovering myself. And people are saying read books. I'm like, no, I don't have time for stress. That one is a long journey. So I just went, I really don't like stress. So I just went on the internet and found a personality test site.
Okay.
And responded to it and said, okay, this is who you are. These are the categories you fit into. And these are what you do. Okay, I'm understanding myself better. And I could relate to many of the things I was saying there. And when they say, okay, you are not social, or when you're in this situation, react this way and you'll be good from the site, I just do that and it works for me and I'm good.
Okay.
So basically.
There's this book that's very big on personalities and stuff. Why you act the way you do, I think, I think I read that one some time ago. That was the first time I realized I was phlegmatic, but I don't think I'm phlegmatic. I think
you change, you grow.
Yeah, exactly. You change and you grow. So like you said, it's never like constant.
All those terms that they tell you.
Sis.
Phlegmatic.
Because they're all labels at the end.
Yes, they are labels. And I don't think anybody should stick to that.
Exactly.
Anyways, it's time for us to snoop on someone in the studio. Who is it going to be? Let's find out.
There you go.
Ooh.
There you go. You frog jumping. Everybody frog jump. Georgia, join them.
Is that you?
Yes.
What was going on?
Are you serving punishments? Because in Nigeria, that's
punishment.
But I'm sure it's training.
It's training,
yeah?
No, I was helping out in the golf clinic at Ikoyi Club.
Okay.
That was in May.
Are the kids sick?
Pardon?
The kids, yeah.
Yeah, their parents were members at Ikoyi Club.
Okay.
So we were just, I brought some equipment that I had, some old kids clubs. So we were just teaching them a few things.
Like how to do, for
So
example.
the frog jump is, do you do that all the time before you play?
No,
It was just that day.
Yeah, it was just that.
Okay.
I don't think she has time for fun. It's like, I'm going to train, I'm going to help people, I'm going to travel.
But it's
I like that
Do you
kind
have
of
friends? Do you go
intentional
with friends?
life. She said she has a ton, actually.
Really? Ton of friends. Do you all play golf?
Yes.
Oh, no wonder. Oh, okay.
This is amazing. It's been a wonderful conversation.
I think so.
I know.
I think so.
And I like that we've talked about something a lot of people tend to overlook. I think a lot of young people just kind of go through life, not really being intentional about it. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for teaching us and teaching us the shortcuts.
And
thank you for coming to just make us think about our lives. You know what I'm saying? Like 100 competitions at 7. Sis, what are you doing with your life?
How many competitions have you been in now?
Oh Lord, thank you so much. It's been amazing.
It is still your favorite show, Momenzi, and just before we wrap up the show in a nutshell, let's check out the results from the poll that we took online. 25,
43%. But it is true.
That age bracket is very...
Yeah, I think that's the age where a lot of them are intentional about discovering
and you're more independent at that point in time.
You're in university.
Okay, in a nutshell, I want to share some inspiring late success stories that I looked up online. So now Martha Stewart, she was 41 when she published her book. And, Blue. Samuel L. Jackson, we all know him, we all love him. He starred in his biggest hits when he was 46. And the last person I have on my list is Colonel Sanders, the owner of KFC, who succeeded at 65. So in a nutshell, I would say it's never too late to discover yourself. Never too late. Until you die, you're still going to discover yourself.
More things about true. For me, in a nutshell, I would say there is no particular way. There is no one-way route into getting to know who you're going to be, into discovering yourself. I mean, I've heard people who said it was the disappointments that made them discover themselves, and they're on that path right now. So a lot of times people say, okay, you did this, let me do that, and then it doesn't come out, and then you're sad. So there is no one way. There's a unique way for everybody to discover who they would be.
I agree.
Well, I mean, I get what you're saying. For me, in a nutshell, I've had times in my life where, I've gone through a disappointment, I've gone through something dark, and then I'm changing, and I'm growing, and I'm like, oh, I like who I'm becoming, and just all these kinds of things. But now I found very recently, I don't know if this is what it is for everybody, but just for me, right, I've really come into Christ, and I'm starting to know myself in Him.
Yes.
And I find that the me that I am now is my truest, most authentic self. And everything else has really been leading me up to this point. And of course, it's a process and it's a journey, but it's a journey of growing in Him. Because the more I know Him, the more I know me. Wow. But that's just me, though.
That is really deep. I really like that. I really do.
Everybody needs to know
you
that.
just inspired me.
I'm proud.
Anyways, it's time for us to go, guys. Thank you guys for always keeping it a date with us. Take a minute or two to find out what you love doing. And if you're not in that space yet, just have fun. It will come to you. Of course, we want to remind you, drugs not hot. Till next time, don't forget, everyone deserves a moment, so go get yours.